catching up right now with Tom from Speak Up, Stay Chatty. Thank you so much for catching up with me, Tom.
No, great to be here.
Well, first of all, can you talk us through Speak Up, Stay Chatty? For those that maybe haven't heard of it before, you know, what's it all about? How did it kind of come together?
Yeah, so Speak Up, Stay Chatty started in 2013. The prominent Tasmanian Mitch McPherson founded it after having this devastating news of his brother who passed away by suicide. So as part of his own grieving process, he developed a car sticker. It was a pair of shorts that said "Speak Up, Stay Chatty" with the TY being his brother's name, really prominent on that sticker. Went on to have over 100,000 of those plastered all over cars and toolboxes and laptops all around Tassie. And then from there, it just spawned a movement of highlighting the importance of talking about mental health, talking about your feelings and emotions, and trying to really normalise that conversation. So yeah, 12 years in and going really strong, and Mitch is still a big part of the organisation.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, something else that you guys do as a part of Speak Up, Stay Chatty, I was actually lucky enough to be a part of a presentation at my footy club the other week. This is something you guys do. You kind of go around, you know, sporting clubs, I'm guessing maybe like work offices as well, to help spread awareness as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, so my role's in the sporting clubs. So yeah, hitting up all football, netball, tennis, soccer, you name it, I'm there, and trying to promote the message around the importance of sharing our feelings and talking about it, and being a great teammate. And I love sporting clubs. I love the community within the community that sporting clubs are. So that's really important, really special. It's been a big part of my life. But then also, we go to workplaces, schools. We've got a schools team that, head across the state as well, and trying to reach as many people as we can.
Yeah, I feel like you weren't there for long, maybe 30 minutes, 40 minutes. But, you know, I left that session walking away feeling like I took so much from that, you know, including, you know, something to do with the brain. You actually mentioned where if you actually speak up, your brain kind of realises, you know, maybe things aren't that bad. It just kind of takes talking about something to get through some thoughts.
Yeah. So there's some psychology in there around why it's important to speak, and often our feelings and emotions live in the amygdala, which is part of the brain, which is really around our feelings and emotions. But once we start to speak, we start to process what those feelings and emotions are. So it's really important that people understand that you're not just, I guess, sharing it for the sake of sharing it, or there's a real there's a chemistry within the brain that actually impacts when you do talk, and it's a vital part of, I guess, resolving issues. And the person on the other end doesn't necessarily have to solve the problem. That's the other, I suppose, big message that we have. It's often just that person being there to say, I'm here for you, and I'm here to listen. And if there is anything I can do, let's do it together. So it might be going on walks, it might be going to the gym together, it might be having a hit of tennis, it might be, having some fish and chips on the beach, whatever it might be. That other person doesn't necessarily have to solve the issue, they just have to be there for the person that's struggling. Yeah,
because sometimes I guess people might worry as well, like they don't know how to respond to someone, you know, if you do initially go over and say, you know, like to have a chat, like I guess some people don't know how to respond, but yeah, like you said, it can be just something as easy as like, hey, do you want to go for a walk, or just something like that.
Yeah, and it's often the hardest part. And I'll also mention in the sporting club presentation about the importance of looking out for your teammates, because it is often really difficult for the person that's struggling to be the one that initiates that conversation. But if you see one of your teammates that, hasn't been to training for a week or two, or they're starting to rock up and, they're looking a bit dishevelled or a little bit uninterested, that's when you say, you initiate the conversation. And, it doesn't have to be anything too formal, or it can just be, hey, mate, how you going? I've noticed that you've been coming to training late, or you haven't been here for a couple of weeks, or is everything going okay? And sometimes they do fob you off and say, yeah, I'm fine. But it might be another week or 2 weeks later that they actually come back and say, hey, I am struggling here, and are we able to have a chat? Or could you give me a hand? And that's really important. I think opening that door initially is often the hardest part, But if we're going to build really good communities, I think we need to be looking out for one another.
Yeah, absolutely. And something else you kind of said that I really agreed was with like the stigma. It seems to be changing as well. It's not weak to speak anymore. It's actually strong to be able to speak up to someone.
Oh, for sure. And I love going into these sporting clubs, and often we're going into clubs that are a little bit just say traditional and a little bit old school in the it is the old cup of concrete type comment that you might get, but it's really changing, and I'm seeing guys and girls speaking to each other, speaking to their teammates, and talking about how much they enjoy each other's company and how they're really comfortable speaking about it. Actually, one of the evaluations that I received at one of the footy clubs recently was we asked the question, why is it so hard to speak about mental health? And the response was, I don't think it is anymore. And I love that response because that's what we're aiming to achieve. That's what we're out there pushing, and we want you to, if you are struggling, you should be able to just go up to one of your teammates, any one of your teammates, and say, hey, I need a hand, or I'm struggling a little bit here, and are you able to help me? And that should be just really commonplace.
Yeah, absolutely. And, mental health is just as important as your physical health as well. What are some good ways to kind of improve your mental health? Is it just as simple as kind of doing things you enjoy, maybe listening to some music, or, if you enjoy cooking, maybe it's something like that?
Absolutely, yeah. So find the things you really enjoy and that really bring you joy in your life. Often it involves other people. Doing something with others and hanging out with family or friends. Sometimes it is simply watching a movie. We know the positive effects that exercise can have. So you feel how good you feel after you go for a run or a walk or go to the gym. So they're always great elements. It's about finding things that you really enjoy, and then there's obviously some other things that you can do to improve your mental health. So things around mindfulness, and now mindfulness doesn't necessarily mean lying there and humming, to the gods. It can be more about just being present in the moment and realising, your senses and what you can see and hear and feel. And it's about being really present. And often we're thinking so much about the future or so much about the past, but just live in the moment, and life's the living, and really enjoying what you're doing at that particular time and being very, very present.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, talk us through. You've got Shorts Day coming up. That's this Friday, is that right?
This Friday the 20th, yep.
So how can people get involved in this one?
Yeah, so you can jump on and register, shortsday.com.au. And what we basically are saying to workplaces, schools, sporting clubs right across the state is get out there, put your shorts on in the middle of winter, and start that conversation. People will say, why are you wearing shorts on the 20th of June in Tasmania? And you say, because I'm here, because I'm an advocate for mental health. I realise how important it is. I want to start that conversation and really normalise the conversation that if you are struggling, there's so much support and it's really close by. And so we've got over 20,000 at the moment registered. We'd love to get that up near 25, 30,000. Just wear your shorts, hopefully that's a real conversation starter. We've got morning teas going on. We've got walks. We've got all sorts of cake drives. There's lots of different initiatives happening across the state. We'll be out there visiting many of those organisations that are getting involved on Friday.
I love that. What a great conversation starter. Well, Tom from Speak Up, Stay Chatty, thank you so much for joining me to spread this one.
No, I love it, and thank you. Appreciate the support.